Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I am Possessed Pixie and today is Friday, so that means it's a Folklore Friday video. And I had the idea, well, it's been a while since I've seen you all, but I had the idea that I should do a couple short folk tales per state. So with that in mind, I decided to start with my home state of Maryland. And today I have 4 short folk tales to share with you that are relatively well known for Maryland folklore, if you are from Maryland or have heard of it. And if you don't already know, I like to do my makeup at the same time, just because I've realized it helps me relax and kind of feel like I'm putting on less of a character and just really being myself with you. And that's really all I've got for an intro, so let's just jump right in. In 1957, a man named Dr. Stephen Fletcher was said to be working on an ill-fated experiment at the Beltsville Research Agricultural Center of Maryland. Dr. Fletcher was attempting to combine the DNA of his assistant with the DNA of a goat. This experiment was said to ultimately create a dangerous humanoid creature that has horns and hooves and was said to be extremely dangerous. And this creature was given the name Goatman, or the Goatman. The Goatman was said to be missing after its creation in 1957, but in 1962, the Goatman was said, or was believed to be the suspected cause of the murder of 14 hikers in the Prince George's County area. The Goatman pretty much went unheard of again for a little while. It was more just casual, small reports or occurrences of people believing to run into the Goatman up until 1971, when the Washington Post shared a rather disturbing report of a woman named April Edwards who claimed that her dog, Ginger, was decapitated by the Goatman. And I'm pretty sure, if I remember reading correctly, she also made a statement in that paper that she's not crazy and she knows what she saw. Since this report, there have been numerous reports and sightings of the said Goatman. And most Maryland locals believe that any missing person case that occurred in that area has to be somewhat related to the Goatman. The Goatman is said to be an extremely tall, like 2-legged creature, where it mainly moves around on its back 2 legs, but it can swiftly run away on all 4s. The Goatman, like the name, is said to combine the features of a goat and a human. The body of the Goatman is said to represent or look like that of just a muscular built man, and then the hind legs, or just the bottom half of the Goatman, resembles a goat with fur and cloven hooves like a goat. With all of the suspected murders and the suspected missing cases that people believe are tied to the Goatman has kind of an eerie aura to him, and the Goatman displays kind of a set of eerie abilities, such as possessing human or superhuman strength, as well as carrying an axe with him, and it's always a little menacing. The Goatman's reported cries are a chilling blend of like a human goat scream that really help to amplify the dread that the Goatman provokes within the Prince George's County community. In case you don't know, the famous Edgar Allan Poe is buried in Maryland, specifically Baltimore, Maryland. And Edgar Allan Poe is known for writing poems like The Raven, The Telltale Heart, and so many more. And if you want to visit his grave, it's at the Westminster Burial Ground in Baltimore. His grave attracts a lot of visitors, specifically in the fall. He was a spooky guy, spooky writer. People want to check him out. However, there is a really short tale of a mystery visitor that Edgar Allan Poe got every year for, I think, 60 years. So every year for decades, up until 2010, a mystery visitor would visit Poe's gravesite every night, or every night of January 18th, leaving 3 red roses and a bottle of cognac, which January 18th is the night before Edgar Allan Poe's birthday. The gifts from the mystery visitor were said to always be there by dawn, and no one has ever caught or claimed to be Poe's mystery visitor. And I think this is a really fun special tale because this person either willingly or unwillingly worked their way into being a huge part of specifically Baltimore, but Maryland's folklore. And I think, and I hope, he will kind of always be, or she, or they, will always end up being a little bit of a story to tell. I don't believe anybody has continued the tradition, but then again, I also am not really sure. In the early 20th century, fishermen and sailors in the Chesapeake Bay area in Maryland began to share stories of a large snake-like creature that had humps on its back, very similar to the idea of the Loch Ness Monster, which came to worldwide attention in 1933. In 1936, a Maryland newspaper called the Baltimore Sun published an article about a sea serpent sighting in the Chesapeake Bay. A helicopter crew claimed to see something reptilian and unknown in the water while flying over the Bush River. Right after the newspaper article, a bunch of other sightings started to essentially come in, but unfortunately, the sightings began to kind of taper off over time. Since that time in 1936, even though there was a decrease in sightings, they were still happening, and over time there's been like a fluctuation of alleged sightings and reports where sometimes there's a little bit more, sometimes there's a little bit less, but nonetheless there still have been alleged sightings and reports. Chessie remains to be a mysterious tale that no one has actually truly been able to debunk, mainly because the description is always a little bit different and doesn't actually sound like any creature that does actually exist. But despite the mystery and the elusiveness of Chessie, Marylanders have actually claimed Chessie as an environmental icon. And I remember hearing the tale of Chessie when I grew up. I grew up on the Eastern Shore, so more like rural Maryland. And I remember my mom used to tell me about Chessie. Also, I was talking to my partner about Chessie and the Loch Ness Monster in general, and he told me that in Vermont, where he's from, they also have their version of the Loch Ness Monster, or Chessie of the Chesapeake Bay, which I think is really interesting, and I'm curious if there's more of those folk tales throughout the states. If you don't know, Maryland was an early settled region, as like most of the East Coast kind of was. And with that, or because of that, witch trials were really common in Maryland, and I'd love to do more videos on the witch trials, so we'll get there. There are numerous records of witch trials in Maryland. However, there's only one court-ordered execution on record, which if we talk about the witch trials in the future, we're going to talk about that. But that is not what this Maryland folktale is about. In fact, it's actually about an alleged witch accusation. In the 17th century, a woman named Moll Dyer, who was a real person, she was a real woman who really lived, she was accused of being a witch by her community. She had been blamed for bringing on a plague and poor harvest. Upset by what they believe she had done and caused, her community formed a mob of villagers to go to her house and set it on fire with her inside. The villagers did set her house on fire with her inside of it, but Moll was able to escape. However, only a few days later, she had been found lying on top of a rock, frozen to death. The villagers removed her body from the rock. However, once they did, they found that an imprint of her right hand had been left on the rock. This kind of unnatural or supernatural imprint on the rock led people to believe that it was a curse that she left on the land and the people and the rock to precede her after death. This curse is said to cause dizziness or one to become ill if they come too close to it or if they touch it. This tale allegedly helped to inspire the Blair Witch Project, which is set on taking place in the Black Forest Hills of Maryland. Anyway, that wraps up the 4 little folk tales that I pulled aside to share to you today about, or that are from Maryland. And if you're interested in having me look into your state and share folklore from your state, please leave a comment down below. I probably will get to all 50 states at some point, but if you're feeling really interested and compelled to know about your state right now, let me know. And with that, I don't have a whole lot to say. If there's any other folk tales you've been curious about and would like for me to research and talk about, you can also leave that in the comments down below. But sorry I've been a little MIA. It's a lot harder than I anticipated starting a YouTube channel, but I am really excited about it still and plan to keep pushing, but I'm not gonna try to hold myself to any super high standard, and well, high standard in some way, but I'm gonna relax on myself for not being as consistent as I had originally hoped. But I do plan to still post and would like to. And thank you so much for sitting with me today. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you again, hopefully. And oh, I guess close up on today's look, we've got little stars and little dots, not sisters. I mean sisters, not twins, and that's okay. I think I also need to get in a routine of posting other types of videos too. I've got other things I want to do, so I just need to do them. Anyway, thanks again. I will see you all again, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Bye!